Good afternoon, everybody. It's time to close the door on a Seahawks. I don't want to call it a rumor because it never got to that point, but let's call it a discussion topic. Closing the door on a Seahawks discussion topic this offseason that I never really felt like had any realistic chance of happening, but people were talking about it. People were talking about this one, and now they cannot talk about it anymore because it's not going to happen. The New York Jets and defensive lineman Quinnen Williams have agreed to a long-term lucrative contract extension, 4 years, 96 million, 66 million guaranteed. He is going to be a Jet for the foreseeable future, and the possibility of the Seahawks putting together some kind of trade to bring in Quinnen Williams to the Seahawks is now completely off the board. It's I don't know if it was ever really even discussed. I don't know if it was ever on the table. I'm sure that the team made some phone calls because realistically an NFL front office should be making phone calls about everything, but I don't think it really advanced beyond that point, and now the matter is closed. So Quinnen Williams is not the savior. Quinnen Williams is not going to be the guy who swoops in here, makes our defensive line really good, and puts us over the top as some super elite team. So we can stop talking about it now. And don't get me wrong, I think Quinnen Williams is great. It's nothing to do with how good I feel the player is. When I didn't feel like this was something that was really worth talking about all that much. Quinnen Williams is fantastic. The box score numbers will back that up. You look over at what he did last season: 12 sacks as an interior defensive lineman, seventh in defensive player of the year, first team All Pro, made the Pro Bowl, 28 quarterback hits from PFR, which is notoriously hard to get credit from, 31 QB pressures. The dude's a monster. The dude is looking like he's going to be this era's, like an Aaron Donald level player or a J.J. Watt level player. And PFF loves him too. You go over to PFF, they got him 90.1. Great all-around player, very disruptive, very destructive. One of the best young defensive linemen in this league. And he only turns 26 close to the end of the season. So certainly nothing to do with Quinnen Williams as a player. He is awesome, and I would have loved to have had him. But for those reasons, for the reasons that I just laid out, I just didn't think we were ever going to be able to get him. The New York Jets just made a significant trade to bring in an old quarterback. They brought in a very old, elite, or theoretically elite quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. They're hoping to get one big year out of him. Realistically, if they can get one big year out of Aaron Rodgers, that would probably be considered a success. They've got a coach who is probably going to be shown the door if the team does not at least make the playoffs and probably some kind of a playoff run. It never made any sense for them to trade for Aaron Rodgers, give up assets to get Aaron Rodgers, and then trade one of their best players on the defensive side of the ball. That never made sense. That would be like, okay, we're going to make this, I'm going to call it a little bit of a desperation trade to try to make this team a Super Bowl contender this year, and then we're going to swap out one of our best players on defense, somebody who might be just as important to the success of the 2023 New York Jets as Aaron Rodgers, for multiple pieces or draft picks or whatever. And it's like having two different off seasons in one off season. It's like one off season you're trying to go for it to win a Super Bowl this year, and then you're having another off season concurrently where you're blowing the team up, trading your valuable veterans for future capital, future players, future assets. It wouldn't have made any sense. So I never bought that the Jets were going to do anything other than give Quinnen Williams his extension, or maybe try to get Quinnen Williams to play on the last year of his contract. So never thought this was a real possibility. He's too good to be traded. If you're going to trade a Quinnen Williams player because you don't want to pay him, then why do you even own an NFL team at that point? At that point, just, sell the team to somebody who's actually willing to spend some money. You spend decades sometimes trying to find a player as good as a Quinnen Williams. Once you find that player, you don't try to flip him so you can try to get in a couple years maybe a player who is 60% as good as Quinnen Williams with whatever draft picks you get from him. And by the way, in order for us to have traded for Quinnen Williams, would have had to give up a lot of draft picks, I imagine, or players, which we don't really have. Like, who would we trade for Quinnen Williams? It would have been probably DK Metcalf plus Uchenna Nwosu. I don't even know. I don't think it's a trade we would have wanted to make. It would have been either those two guys, it would have been like 2 first-round picks, and then you have to pay him, by the way. So you put it all together, and it was never going to happen, but there it is. So now the door is closed on the Quinnen Williams trade. We don't have to talk about it no more. At this point, probably going to bring back the old Aaron Donald discussion topics, which I think is even worse, personally, by the way. We're running out of defensive lineman saviors, and now we have to look at the clearly past his prime defensive lineman on a division rival and somehow expect that's going to happen. So, yeah, the hope of the Seahawks having a great defensive line in 2023 fading very quickly with this decision. But hey, it is what it is. We couldn't make it happen in the most recent offseason. Next offseason, hopefully, we're going to have a little more luck in that area. But for now, we're going to try to make do with what we have. And what we have, it'll probably be better than last year. I'll say that. I kind of like this defensive line a lot more than last season. But it's a process. I don't think a quick fix solution on the defensive line was right for this current team. If we had traded for Quinnen Williams, of course, I would have gotten behind it. I would have supported it because he's a great player. But I definitely would have been very aware of the fact that we probably would have had to give up massive assets. We probably would have had to pay him. Well, we know now we would have had to have given him $24 million a year, and it didn't make any sense. I couldn't put it together in a way that really made sense. This is not a Sheldon Richardson situation. You were able to get Sheldon Richardson for basically a second-round pick and a reserve receiver. That was not going to happen with Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams is, I believe he's a 2 first-round pick player. So, doors closed. Quinnen Williams gets his money, which he deserves because he's a great player. The Jets continue to go all in to try to win a Super Bowl this season, which was the only thing that made any sense for them to do once they made that Aaron Rodgers trade. And the Seahawks are, well, I don't even want to say they're going to be looking elsewhere for defensive line help because I think the team is the team at this point. And I believe that before this extension news came out. But now the door is closed. All right. Talk to you guys later. Go Hawks. And yeah, I guess we can move on from this one. It was kind of fun to talk about for a little bit, even though I think we all knew it was never going to happen. And now we really know it's not going to happen. All right. See you guys later on. Should be on Twitch later tonight. Another video coming out tomorrow morning. We are getting closer and closer to the point where we're going to have more stuff to talk about. Pretty exciting. The scrimmage game is, I believe, on the 25th, so we're just a couple weeks away from that. Can't wait. Go Hawks. Hope you guys are ready for a very interesting NFL season.